Ladies and gentlemen, all rise for the RankKing's court.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another brilliant episode of what Tuesday is all about. The Rank King's Court. Always here on Twitch, 6:30. How are we doing, boys? Always joined from me, the Rank King, Austin Mora. We have Noble Knight Greg and Oracle Vo in the house once again. How are we doing, boys?
We're back. Another Tuesday. We're here.
Yeah, this is definitely what I want to do on Tuesdays. That's
Every
for sure.
Tuesday.
Every
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Every
Yeah, that's what
Tuesday.
you wanted.
Who
Oh,
doesn't
and
want to
if
be here?
Absolutely.
We have people begging us to be here.
That's true. We
That's
can
true.
confirm. I've seen texts. I don't know if they're real or not, but I've seen them.
We've seen them.
Yeah, it is logged into evidence. We do have them. Pull out those receipts. But yes, and in case you haven't noticed, ladies and gentlemen, we are also joined by someone else. I'd like to introduce you all to a good friend of mine from college, from Clarion. Please welcome Tyler, aka Chico. How you doing, bud?
Good. I'm happy to be here finally. I'm one of those people sending those texts.
Yeah.
See, we knew they're
Yeah.
out there.
Wait, real quick. When you said the college, you said Clarion. Is that real? I don't think that exists.
No, it's not real anymore. I don't need.
That's
It's a
too
fake
soon.
school. I don't
Is
even
it
know
too
what it is
soon?
anymore.
Sorry.
Ah, you slippery rock people. Fucking hell.
Hey, don't hate us just because we're awesome.
No, well, that's a word for it. All right.
We rock.
But yes, so we're gonna get Chico's opinion on some stuff here, real quick. But before we do that, where are you two located, by the way?
The both of us, myself and the Oracle, are live today from Union Fitness Studios, located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh. Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It's a place where you can transform yourself inside and out, with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe that it is their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go to unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation. Through Union, there is strength. There we go.
Yeah.
Never miss it.
No.
Never miss.
We have a couple comments, Austin.
Oh shit! Already, let's bring him on.
Mr. Chipster says, "So you have two friends?"
That's rude. That's rude. We appreciate the comment though, but that one stings a little bit. I'll likely mellow it with our other sponsor, Coors PGH. Always loving in the spread of all things of the beer variety in Pittsburgh. Always gotta drink this Coors. It is the best. Rocky Mountains are in my bloodstream as we speak.
I mean, yeah, that's true. The icy mountains that are going to quench that burn that you just received by Chipster, so that'll help.
Did anyone see Draft Day's intro video? I have not seen it yet.
Nah, not really.
I was working last night, so I did not
Yeah.
see it. So
We'll
boy.
look into it, Denny.
probably a jab.
Chip, I don't think Steph qualifies as his friend either, so that's like
That's why he's down to one friend now.
Yeah, I was gonna
Okay.
say. I mean, Chico, are you sure you're a friend of his? I just want to confirm on your part.
Mutual acquaintances.
Mutual
Yes.
acquaintances? Okay.
Good way to put
All right,
it.
we're getting somewhere. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. I like that. I love the brutal honesty.
Well, you know what? I deserve it. So, background for all of you that don't know, Chico has been wanting to be on the show for over a year. And
So you
I
strung him
consider-
along for a year? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. I'm a bad friend. I will say that I'm a bad friend. But we are here now. That is the glorified part. And I want him to have as much time as he can. So let's talk about a little bit about last week before we bring into tonight's topic. So last week we touched on all things DreamWorks, the company that is always somehow forgotten if it wasn't for Shrek. That's literally how it is. But I think the show pulled off very well last week, boys.
I don't think you had too many people disagree with your ranking.
Which is weird. I don't know. Maybe we had a slow night or something.
Yeah,
That probably
maybe
was
that.
it. But yeah. No, the top 10 turned out pretty much as you'd expect. I think Prince of Egypt was still kind of high because it's not considered like a brand of DreamWorks that's as well known, honestly. But I think you were putting a lot of stock in the fact of how much effort and work put into it, to be honest.
A lot of people like Chicken Run.
Well, it's classic.
Yeah.
I mean, what else are you going to get a movie with a rooster voiced by Mel Gibson?
It's true.
You're not going to get that at all anymore. I mean, maybe if he had a Bible in his hands and throwing it, hey, listen to this. Ay. But yeah, I mean, we even touched a little bit about the teams that we had. So Chico, just so you know, last week, our great debate, we had a draft to decide. We picked DreamWorks characters to fight off an alien invasion. And let's just say I'm a little sore at one pick because Greg took Skipper, the penguin, as his first round pick and went before me. And he ended up taking what I would classify as the Swiss Army knife of the DreamWorks variety, and that's Rico, the other penguin.
The wild card,
and
baby.
I had to settle for adding one, Barry B. Benson, Jerry Seinfeld B voiced, to try to flow myself back into this. We had all kinds of characters in there. I don't know how exactly that turned out, boys. Did you figure out who won?
I won.
Don't just say no.
I
you
won.
didn't, though.
Of course, I won. I had Captain
There you go.
Underpants, and Captain Hook,
and Boss Baby.
and
You
Boss.
didn't win.
He was my leader. He was my leader.
You had two individuals with diapers that very well could shit themselves on the battlefield.
Meanwhile,
hey, that might beat some aliens. You never know.
Meanwhile, I had Megamind and Poe along with the two penguins from
That's true.
Madagascar. So, come on.
Hard to beat a team with Toothless Tigress, Shrek, and Barry B. Benson.
With the Dragon Warrior, I think kind of takes care of all of that on your part. Just saying.
Chico, what's your favorite DreamWorks movie?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to be like everybody else and say Shrek, man. I quote that all the time this day. I have the best Gingy impression, and I just break it out all the time.
Oh, do you? Because Austin did one last week.
This is an impression shit that we do on this show. So, Cheeks, if you wanna, you can throw it on here. No pressure.
I gotta be set up with. Do you know the Muffin Man?
Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man. See, it's not like I was like on the spot, but
hey, it's still good, man.
It's probably better than Austin's last week.
Yeah, I concur. A lot of people are better than Austin when it comes to that.
All righty. Settle down, Peanut Gallery. Relax. So let's get into exactly what we're here for tonight. As I said on the Sunday show, when I was asked what the show would be, I said this would most likely be a 1-2 punch, and I was not kidding, because tonight we are talking all things MMA.
How long did that take you to come up with, by the way?
Not long. I just literally thought about it. I'm really concerned that the belief that you think I can't think of spots on the top of my head, but.
Well, I mean, you do have a king on the top. You have a crown on the top of your head, so I guess that makes sense.
Glued in everything.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go, all set. So, before we get into the rankings, before we get into all the glorious content that we're going to do for the show, Cheeks, I want you to just please divulge into why you love MMA so much.
Right on. So I've been doing martial arts since I was maybe 4 years old. I started in Taekwondo and did that till I was about 12 or 13, and then got into middle school wrestling. And my friend showed me fights, and I just really, really got into it. And around 14 or 15 years old, I started training MMA myself. So I've been following the sport now for almost 13 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's the only sport I really truly follow every single weekend. And I actually Sorry about that. I actually just got my blue belt in jiu-jitsu 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. And I've competed in jiu-jitsu, and I've had a couple amateur kickboxing fights as well. So
Nice.
I've gotten my fair share of ass beatings. So I really appreciate watching it.
So do you remember why Taekwondo was your introduction, or what was it about it that just kind of like got you hooked?
So actually, the same friend who got me into watching MMA started doing Taekwondo. We were both the same age.
Oh, okay.
And then my mom said, "Do you want to do it?" And I said, "Sure." And ever since then, it's just kind of been a part of my life.
Good shit, man. Please tell us, because there was a card that happened a couple days ago that kind of blew up the internet. So please, I know you're excited because I know you're jumping in your seat. Tell us all about it, because for one, I was working. I wasn't able to tune in or get the stats on it or everything. So what exactly happened? This was, what number was it exactly?
269.
So yeah, 269. God, I love that number in there, man.
Yeah.
Please tell us-
Nice.
Wow.
Please tell us exactly what all the hell happened, because it literally broke the internet.
Yeah, so there was 3 really big key things. The main event, I'll start there and work my way down. The main event was between Dustin Poirier, who just is coming off of back-to-back wins over Conor McGregor.
Mm-hmm.
So his stock just blew up after beating like the biggest star in the sport.
Mhm.
And he was versing Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title. And Dustin was a heavy favorite, more well-known. And he came in and he got submitted by Oliveira, which nobody saw coming whatsoever. And everybody kind of looked at Dustin as the uncrowned champ at 155. And he came in and lost. And it kind of just blew everybody away. And then the co-main event was regarded as the women's greatest fighter of all times, Amanda Nunes. She's coming off a 13-fight win streak. She's beaten every champion in 2 divisions for the past 6 years. And she versed a girl named Juliana Pena, who's 2-2 in her last 4 fights. So everybody thought cakewalk, easy fight. And Juliana Pena brought the fight to her and submitted her in the second round.
Oh, wow.
It was the
Wow.
biggest upset since, ironically, UFC 69. So,
Nice. Even nicer.
200 events later, the next big upset happens.
The 2 things
And
that I
last-
thought were really kind of interesting from that weekend is, one is that I'm pretty sure Poirier was so kind of taken aback from the loss that he actually told Oliveira that he would donate like money to whatever charity that he wanted him to do it. And then the second thing that I saw too is that I think Ariel Helwani actually posted a video the week of when Juliana Pena was going through her press run about the fight with Nunes, and I guess like not a lot of people took her seriously and stuff like that, but if you watch the interview and the clip and stuff, like you could kind of tell that she was not afraid of Nunes, and a lot of women are, because Nunes is a badass, and she's still a champ in another division too.
Yeah, I'm really curious how big the rematch would be between them, because once that air of invincibility goes away, it's hard for people to come back. But this isn't
Oh, God,
Amanda's
yeah.
first loss. So I believe this is her 5th loss of her career. So she could very easily come back. I'm just curious what the confidence level of Juliana would be going into the rematch after doing that to arguably the greatest woman of all time in combat sports.
Right.
Damn. Holy hell. All right. Well, shit. That was a lot to unpack. Like, wow. I that all of that kind of configures into what we put on for the rankings tonight. But I'm gonna start off real quick, and we can kind of breeze through it if you want. I put on a Instagram the top female fighters of MMA, and I just wanted to see how you cheeks. I don't know if you saw it yet, but I'm gonna give you the 5-1 real quick, and you can tell me if they're properly ranked. Okay. So at number 5, and if I ever mess these names up, please let me know. I would like to not be an ass on, although it's a common thread, I guess, these days, but
Yeah.
who the hell knows? Number 5, Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Close. It's Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Oh, didn't sound close to me, but okay. But okay, she's at 5. At 4, we have Ronda Rousey. 3. Oh, this is gonna be a tough one. That last name.
You got this. I can do this one. You got this.
Oh, you can do this one. Okay, so 3, Valentina Shevchensky.
Shevchenko?
No,
You're close.
Shevchenko.
Okay.
Shevchenko?
Shevchenko. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not how that. Okay. 2, Chris Cyborg.
She's scary.
And 1, you just touched on it, Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, I really think Valentina Shevchenko is the greatest skilled female fighter right now, but her resume isn't as good as Cyborg's and Amanda's.
Mhm.
So I think she wins a couple more fights. She has the potential to be number 1.
I've seen photos of Cyborg. Holy shit.
She looks
It
good.
The
literally
fact
looks like
it
a
pisses me
cyborg.
off to no end that we never got a Rousey Cyborg match.
Oh, my God.
And the reason we never got it was because there was just so much politicking going back and forth between Dana and Santos because I believe it was Cyborg couldn't, like, physically should not have cut weight to go down to face Rousey, apparently.
I think
And
that's right, yeah.
and that was always, like, the hang-up with it.
Yeah, there's actually a video of her. They made her cut the 140 before they made a 145-pound division.
Mhm.
And there's a video of her in a bathtub cutting weight saying she's going to die.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm.
it's horrifying to watch. And
Jesus.
I don't think that the fight would have went very well for Rousey at all.
Mm-mm.
No. I mean, just look at her WWE career.
She got paid a lot of money, but that's all that matters.
That's true. That's true. I can't hate on it too much. All right, boys. So let's forego the formalities. Let's get into it. Start of the RankKing's court. The number 1 radical ranking of the evening. Let's hit it. Alrighty. So, you know me at this point. You know I always have to forego and put in some form of media presence when it comes to a subject, no
And it's
matter what
always
it is.
movies.
It's always
It always
Always
is.
movies.
Always.
You're a big movie
I
guy.
literally was on a show called Thoughts from the Movies.
That's
How can
fair.
you
I'm not judging or anything.
Okay.
We love
Still
movies.
want to make it seem like it's predictable or anything, but I figured that I put this on here because tonight our first radical ranking are the top MMA movies. Now, some of these are, you're gonna think like, how many MMA movies could there be? Like, how many could there be? There's actually quite a lot, surprisingly.
Mhm.
So let's start off with probably everyone's comedic factor for this one. Number 5. Here comes the boom.
Is that Kevin James?
Yeah.
That is
So,
Kevin.
I will say real quick, what I appreciate about this movie is that it's based on the story of, it's loosely based on the story of Rich Franklin, who won the middleweight title, I believe, was also the guy that knocked out Ken Shamrock in his return to the UFC. So, because he was a substitute, like, biology teacher or something like that while this was also going on. So that's why this was a thing. But turning it into a comedy with Kevin James is kind of like, ugh, I don't know about that.
I mean, it's what it is. As soon as I saw Kevin James in it, I knew that it was going to be that comedy factor. I wanted to see if they would, like, I haven't, like, watched it in so long, but I wanted to see if, like, Adam Sandler was, like, the referee. Hey, get in there. Hey, you. Come on. That's right. Hey, come on. But you're right. It's I'll read off the thing here real quick. Scott Voss, played by Kevin James, is a 42-year-old apathetic biology teacher in a failing high school. Once a collegiate wrestler, when cutbacks threaten the school's music program and its teacher, played by Henry Winkler, gotta love that guy, always, he springs into action, dusts off his long unused wrestling skills, and earns money for the program by moonlighting as a mixed martial arts fighter. And it's kind of dope, honestly. What are your thoughts, Cheek? You're like, God, he's like, why the fuck would you ever put this movie in?
No, I think he won
No,
the number 1, didn't he?
It's a very entertaining movie. I have his first win in the movie is against my all-time favorite fighter that got me into MMA, and watching Kevin James knock out Jason Mayhem Miller is like the most heartbreaking thing I ever see in any movies. So every time I hear about it, I just imagine that one punch that puts him out. But yeah, it's a solid movie.
Get into the second one here. This one is not so much an MMA film, but it incorporates a lot of MMA style, which I was interested to see, so to speak. This was 2007's Flashpoint.
Never heard of this, bud.
Yeah, me
So
neither.
this one stars Donnie Yen. Essentially, he plays a sergeant who's a Hong Kong police officer with a reputation for violent behavior. You gotta like that. I'm a cop who doesn't play by the rules, kind of scenario. And determined to find and take down 3 powerful triad drug leaders. One of his fellow officers, Wilson, is an experienced undercover agent working within the triad gang. And he and Juan agree to a partnership. When Wilson's cover is blown, he's forced to confront the gang the only way he knows how, with his fists. So Donnie Yen, this was the whole point, is that this movie incorporated a lot of his kind of MMA style with this. A lot of the fight scenes you see, you think you're in an octagon. Like, you honestly do. You're like, holy shit. Like, there's guys with like guns in there. He's like, put him down. Go, my
He
bitch.
just tries to fight everybody.
Oh my god, it's hilarious. I love it. But it's still like a decent action-packed film that originally I had forgotten about. It was on a trailer of another movie I'll talk about later. But I remembered it when I was looking back at this, and I said, okay, I remember this. And I remember like watching a little bit of it, and I was like, that's some MMA style. That's right on the money. So incorporating that for like a cop that's trying to take down like a Hong Kong drug gang is dope in my opinion. So it's something for you all to check out. Cheeks, I know you're shaking your head. I don't know if you've seen this one, but it's decent.
I'm just imagining fighting a gang with a Muay Thai knee and getting shot in the face. So that's just kind
Yeah,
of
there's like that might be an issue there.
Yeah, that's why it's not in the top 3.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's Bo's on the right track. That's why it's not in the top 3. But what is in the top 3, I know that I rarely put in sequels. I rarely do. But number 3 is actually the second of this film franchise. This is Never Back Down 2, The Beatdown.
Is this like a direct-to DVD movie or something, bud?
I think this was. I
Okay.
think this one, yeah. But a martial arts expert trains 4 young fighters to compete in the Beatdown, a brutal mixed martial arts tournament. The young fighters band together to take on a traitor in their midst after their mentor is framed by corrupt police officers. You say straight to DVD, but I'm looking at Evan Peters is in this movie.
That doesn't help, bud. Like, there's a lot of famous actors that do like direct-to-DVD stuff, bud.
Oh, I'm just saying. But you have Michael J. White, Todd Duffy, Evan Peters, Dean Gare, Alex Mraz, Scott Epstein, Jillian Murray. I mean, these aren't great actors by any shadow of a doubt, but I love the concept of how can we elevate like the MMA format. Let's host a tournament and literally call it the Beatdown, which is like,
Good idea.
it's an inviting thing, right?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Cheeks?
this is actually one of my least favorite movies in the history of all movies ever made. I went into it. I liked the first Never Back Down, and I watched the second one. And towards the beginning, when he has the wrestler punching a piece of paper, and he's like, "You can't learn how to fight until you can punch a hole in a piece of paper." And I was like, at that moment on, I was like, "We're in for a rough night," because I've trained at a lot of gyms with former UFC fighters and current Bellator fighters, and I've never once seen anybody punch a piece of paper.
It's a weird kind of Miyagi way to do things, and maybe that's what they were going for, but it certainly didn't. Instead of wax on, wax off, here, write a note by punching it through a piece of paper. It's a crazy thing. I know there's 2 big ones, and like the rest are kind of eh. But let's get into the runner-up. If one disgruntled employee was on here, he'd probably tell us that this was probably the greatest one of all time. Just because he loves this guy so much. This is Warrior.
I never saw the whole movie, but I have seen like clips of it and stuff, and Tom Hardy is awesome in this movie.
Yeah. So our Cheeks, just to give you a background, our one person like loves Tom Hardy, like absolutely, like watches everything that he's in and just absolutely loves him. But I'll read the info here. The film received an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. I know for a fact I've seen it. It's been years because this film came out in 2011, so 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So an estranged family finds redemption in the unlikeliness of places, the MMA ring. Tommy, an ex-Marine with a tragic past, returns home and enlists his father, a recovering alcoholic and former wrestling coach, to train him for Sparta, the biggest MMA tournament ever held. But when Tommy's underdog brother, Brendan, fights his way into the tournament, the two brothers must finally confront each other and the forces that pulled them apart.
Oh.
If that's not drama mixed with fists and violence, I don't know what the fuck is, guys.
Got me on that one, honestly.
Sounds
I
pretty
don't know
good.
how many times I've wanted to step into like an MMA ring or a ring with my brothers and fucking fight it out. For all the bullshit that we have put each other through, I'm like, you fucking suck. No, you fucking suck. Let's get in the ring and settle it. Can't do that these days, I guess, but it's whatever.
I think it's
But-
frowned upon a little bit.
It depends on what your likeliness is. But you could do like a rough and rowdy thing where you could just have it in the backyard and just invite a bunch of people to drink beer. I mean, that's what everybody's doing now these days. Yeah, man, I thought the film was great. You know, it's not number one, but it settles a lot of like what the ring rust comes out of the MMA ring. When you bring the pressure and the family drama and everything into the ring and actually combine that with the actual violent persona and lovable actions that we love from the MMA, it's a perfect film.
So, in my opinion, that's the greatest. Like, it's my favorite movie. It's almost spot on actually representing what MMA is compared to a lot of other movies. There's so many things like people just see these fighters compete and they don't think about what, like, they have relationships and families and money issues, and then they have to get in there with all the stress of life and actually fight another trained killer trying to make money to survive.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that movie. It's my favorite all times, probably.
It's crazy how we go from like one of your like worst films to like the best film for you.
Yep.
Holy hell. I will tell you what though, number one is by far my favorite, and it's a little bit of a cop out because I think it's a lot of people's favorite. I think it's a film that got people that weren't really into MMA into MMA. And just
Yeah,
from
I
the
would argue that too, bud. Yeah.
style of it, right? Because number one is the original Never Back Down. I love this film. I love the aspect of this kid that is literally just trying to fit into fucking society. And of course he goes and makes friends with the girl that is, you know, with the psycho fucking MMA fighter. And damn, man, like I hated watching the first fight between these two because it was brutal. It was just like, and you know, like for some reason, these people are high school kids. They know they're fucking not. They are literally like above college level. Like they're like like if I grew 2 more feet and like 100 fucking more 50 pounds of muscle, it's like I'm in 11th grade. No,
They were just
fucking
held
not.
back a couple years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all
I
it
am
was.
I am 12, right? Like, but the actual aspect of turning like personal tragedy, just turning aggression and everything into something that can be used to help better you. And that's exactly what this film is to me. It is redemption inside people. Now, granted, there are some hiccups along the way, but this is by far one of my favorite MMA film, especially when, you know, he has his injury and he chooses not to step in the ring for the last fight and walk away, only for, you know, the guy to come and follow him out into the parking lot and for those two to beat the living shit out of each other during the main event, and everyone runs out of the main event to see that fight happen in the parking lot. We talk about fighting in the parking lot all the time on this show.
We do.
That's just what it needs to be.
That's where you got it.
Like
It all
right
makes
now,
sense
I'm
now.
not kidding. In like 10 minutes, I'm gonna have like Greg and Vo put on gloves and step into the parking lot of the Union Fitness Studio and duke it out. So, on the request of Derek. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Not surprised on that one.
But
So
go ahead, Cheeks.
I actually have a really funny story about that movie.
Okay, go ahead, shoot.
I watched it around whenever I first started training with my friend and his older brother in MMA. And there's a scene in Never Back Down where they put the ladder at an angle and then they like climb it like that. So we were like 14 and his brother was like 18. And we're like, let's go do that in the backyard. And we set up the ladder and we tried doing it. And whenever the older brother, Scott, went to do it, he actually broke the ladder in half.
Oh,
so then we had to hide the ladder from his dad so that way he didn't know we broke it trying to train like Never Back Down.
Wow.
So,
That's like a typical childhood story. I love that shit. Like it's like we saw this on TV or movies. Like we're gonna fucking imitate it and jackass it fucking completely out. I love that shit. Did they ever find out that he broke the ladder?
I think years later they like hid it in the back of the garage and his dad found it like 3 weeks later. He's like, what the hell happened to my ladder? And they're like, I don't know, don't touch it.
Someone came in and busted it. They didn't take anything, but they sure hated that fucking ladder and they busted it.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I love this because this actor, I'm forgetting the name of him off the top of my head, but he's been in like multiple films of this like redemption angle. Cheeks, I also know that you play rugby. He was in a movie, I know that you're gonna probably say it, but it was Forever Strong, right? That was the movie?
Yep.
Where, you know, he's like starting off as like a typical rebellious teen, and he drinks and drives and bad shit happens and he gets locked up in a thing where they have a rugby squad, and he teaches them the importance of just letting the individuality go and to care about, you know, your brothers and your team. And the what is the dance, Cheeks, that they do? You know it off the top of your head.
Yeah, the haka.
The haka, yeah. And that, watching that for the first time, it's intimidating as shit. Like, I would not want to go up against a team that is just like in your face screaming at you, like fucking like doing like it's intimidating.
That's intimidation factor, absolutely.
Oh yeah. But yeah, he's played in a lot of films like that, and it's goes to show you that, you know, it might be one dimensional, but it is a role that he has perfected, to say the least. I love that, boys. Let's get into a crazy one here with our radical ranking number 2. When you step into the ring, when you step into the octagon, you want people to know who the hell you are. That's the main reason why you're there, to make a mark on the company, to make a mark to get yourself the financial compensation that you deserve for almost literally killing someone in the fucking ring. So when you do this,
It's not wrong.
Nah, he's not.
there are various nicknames that you give yourself. I'm quite shocked at some of these because this second radical ranking are the weirdest fighter nicknames.
According to you, for the record.
According to me.
They are
They
pretty
might not
weird.
be weird to some people, but when I step into when I'm like, say I'm in the ring, you know, like turn the 60 pounds of, you know, belly I have an actual muscle, you know, I'm an actual qualified fighter. And I hear these names, I don't know if I'm quite intimidated by it. More or less disturbed, more or less like, why is that your name? Now I'm like wondering, like, is this gonna happen to me of some sort? There's various things. Cheeks, I don't know if you like, do you had when you like competed and like stuff, did you have a nickname or anything that you did yet, or?
So in my last kickboxing fight, I went by Chico, but
Okay.
I think probably my next fight, I'm looking at probably March or April, competing in MMA. So I'm
look at
probably
that.
gonna go based off of my my late grandfather's nickname, Bud. So I'm probably just gonna
Cool.
do that in honor of him. So that'd
See,
probably
that's a good thing.
It's a good
that
nickname.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. These ones to me don't make sense. So let's get into it. Number 5, Ron H2O Waterman.
Why doesn't that
When
make
I
sense to
hear-
you? That makes sense to me.
It makes sense because of the name, but it makes me feel like I'm getting into a peeing competition instead of an actual like MMA bout.
No, it makes
Like,
me
when I
think
hear
like you're
H-
gonna sweat.
Yeah.
Like, he's gonna
It makes
he's
me.
gonna battle you the
Thirsty
whole
for
time.
violence.
What'd you say?
He's thirsty for violence.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
It makes me think that he's well hydrated before he goes out. Like, which you
Well,
got.
if you're not hydrated before a match, you're fucked anyway. I mean, I don't have much of a brain in MMA, but I know at least that if you're not hydrated, you are fucked in these competitions. I don't know. When I saw like you could when I look at these, I think you can have any nickname you want. And I get like the last name Waterman. I know that that's what goes along with it, but it's like you couldn't say like Ron the Hydro Pump Waterman. Ron,
That's,
Why would you
that's just
say
lame.
that?
That's lame.
fuck off. I
That's
don't know.
lame.
I'm just spitting shit here. But I don't know. H2O, it doesn't really like scare me into the persona. Let's get into number 4. I am going to try my best to pronounce this.
I can help you, bud. Don't worry.
Okay, all right.
Let him go. We'll see if we can get it.
This is like Josh with the spelling shit. You guys are just watching me burn. This is Yoshihiro Sexyama Akayama.
You got that actually.
I got that? Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Sexyama. That's interesting, to say the least. Like, I don't know the whole story behind him, Cheeks. Like, does this fit? Like, is it a fitting nickname?
So I will say this about Sexy Yama is the name fits him. He looks more like a Japanese model than a fighter, and he's actually like a really famous singer
Really?
in Japan. Yeah, and he was a huge star. And in one of his fights, that Juliana Pena, who won the belt last weekend, she was sitting ringside, and he was beating somebody on the ground, and he looked up and started flirting with her. And the commentator Brian Stan looked at Juliana Pena and said, "Is this working on you?" And she goes, "Oh yeah."
Wow.
So like,
Okay.
so like his nickname fits him perfectly.
That's
When
awesome.
I think of it from like a I'm thinking this in like a WWE brain. Like, I'm thinking like this is like a John Morrison type thing, like the Shaman of Sexy kind of scenario. Or any like wrestler that has Dashing Cody Rhodes or of something of that caliber, where it's beauty and deadly like compared into one. So okay, maybe now that I'm hearing that, like, I just thought like I have to hear the story behind some things sometimes.
That's
that makes
fair.
sense a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3. We touched this on a little bit. Frank Twinkle Toes Trigg.
I will admit, this is a hilarious nickname.
Please tell me, Chico, why his nickname is Twinkle Toes.
So now that I realize you're talking about Frank Trigg, I had mixed his story up with somebody else, but I'm pretty sure the reason why Frank Trigg said Twinkle Toes was because he was implying you couldn't hit him,
Like, he was fast on his feet.
Mhm.
but it nobody took him seriously in terms of his nickname.
Yeah, like, it's just like, I'm not scared of that. I'm thinking like, okay, yeah, he might be fast, but he could also have like a foot account on OnlyFans, like, called Twinkle Toes. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not like, it doesn't frighten me, to say the least.
But it does
Maybe-
intrigue you, which is clearly something that you would do on an OnlyFans, bud.
People don't point at me like that when it comes to. I see what you're doing, Craig.
I love how
No.
you cover up the top of your robe as that happens.
Hey, none of this. Hey, this is all glorious.
But if you
body, it
donate
doesn't need to
bits,
be
Ma-
shown off.
perhaps,
Yeah.
you donate Perhaps.
But yeah, it's interesting that that would be the nickname, because a nickname is supposed to drive a little bit of intimidation and factor, and that just didn't do it for me here. So I'm wondering why, but I guess that makes a little bit more sense. Let's hit number 2. This one just makes me laugh. This one just makes me laugh. Alan Monster Lobster Barubi.
That's a great nickname.
Monster Lobster?
If that's not Bro, if that's not New England at all, I don't know
yeah,
what
he
is.
has to be.
Well, it makes me think like he has a right hook called the clam chowder. You know, like it's just like.
Yeah.
Hey, Austin. Shout out to Metalhead Moro donating 200 bits.
With a smirk,
Right
with a smirk
after-
emoji.
With a smirk emoji right after that little OnlyFans
Oh
comment.
my god.
You might want to loosen that
just
robe up
just
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Give him a little tease.
Oh lord. Not incorporating
like this
scandalous
whole show now.
individuals. No. Cheeks, why is he called Monster Lobster?
So, Lobster was on season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter, and he always wore a bucket hat that had lobsters on it, and he cooked lobsters in the house all the time.
Okay.
And he
Okay.
actually got kicked off the show because he encouraged a fight in the house, like
Oh,
outside of the
gee.
competition.
Oh.
And it's funny because Dana's telling the 3 guys they're kicked out, and then he goes, and I laughed every time I heard it. He's like, and Lobster, you're out too. And then in like the saddest moment of this dude's life, like he got kicked out of the Ultimate Fighter, won't get a UFC career. He got referred to as a lobster. So like, it just imagine getting fired and they're just call you by some ludicrous nickname.
Now, I read, I don't know if this is exactly true. Like, did he have like a seafood thing that he was doing for a little bit? Like he had like, I don't know if it was like a lobster house or something, but I think it wasn't very successful from what I've heard.
Yeah, he might have done it after the show when he got known for that, but I'm not entirely sure. He didn't really have that great of a career, so his nickname didn't really work.
Cashing in on that notoriety, what you can, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I just, when I think of that, I just think of like the Family Guy scene of like, you know, a rock lobster, just like the lobster dances and it's dun 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 dun, dun. And I'm thinking that's like if when he does in the ring, he just comes up, he's like dun 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 dun
He
dun.
just
dun.
dances around everybody.
It's like, hey buddy, we got to fight here. Let's go. Come on, like chop. I got people betting on me in round 1. And finally, what the hell is this? Like I was like, okay.
Oh, I forgot about this one.
So, Cheeks, explain this one to me. Josh, the cock tamer, Koscheck. I don't know this. He had 2 other ones that I felt I couldn't even put on Twitch. So this is an interesting one to say the least.
Genuinely, Josh Koscheck is known as being the biggest dick in MMA.
Okay.
He fought George St. Pierre for the title, and Dana White said in the press conference that nobody's a Josh Koscheck fan. His mom's rooting for GSP. So it might just, like, it might just be a play on the fact that he's a big dick, but
Yeah. I remember he had like a real big rivalry with Chris Lieben from the first season of Ultimate Fighter too. But that's aside from that, that's not much else I know about him.
yeah, he had a pretty good career, but yeah, he was a dick.
I'm assuming that's just why, because like I looked at this originally and I said, that's not real. That can't be real, right? Like that's this is just Wikipedia. They're just bullshitting me. They're gonna put like, you know, like Josh, big purple grimace, like Koscheck. They're just bullshitting me. Like they but
Just throw random names in there.
but yeah, this was that was an interesting one to say the least. Whew. All right.
There any
Yeah,
other
Austin.
ones that he missed, Chico?
Yeah, are there any ones that I
So-
didn't think of, Cheeks?
So I looked up the name for the story I told you guys before the show. So the nickname I was referring to was Fancy Pants.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And he fought in Japan in Pride. And afterwards, a guy came up to him, the promoter, and was talking. And he didn't have a nickname because he didn't want to give himself one. He wanted to be given one. And the fan was like, the American with the fancy pants. And then for the rest of his career, he got stuck with the nickname Fancy Pants.
That's his own fault then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of any too many other ones off the top of my head. I looked at those 5 and I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it. Like that completes it. All right. Well, it's finally time. The glorified moment of the show that I love so much. It is time for the great debate. right, guys. The great debate is simply as this. I know I'm very ambiguous when it comes to putting in the titles. So all I have really is MMA beatdown. So what we're going to do, we're going to decide our nickname. We're going to decide what class I guess we could fight in. And I guess we're going to put in what would be our quote-unquote finishing move. So is Foreigner in the chat, though, or is he abandoning us once
Nah,
again?
he abandoned us.
He texted me earlier and said he had to work, so he wasn't going to be watching.
Yeah, he abandoned us
Sounds
again.
like an excuse. Cheeks,
May I add something to this?
Go ahead.
you
I think
may.
you guys I think you guys should pick walkout songs too.
Ooh.
Okay. I like that.
Love this. Cheeks, I want to know, you're the first person that has ever asked to add something. So this is a milestone event of itself.
So we have what?
Congratulations to you.
Nickname,
Good.
nickname, class, finishing move, entrance song.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Well, Cheeks, would you want to go first or last, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't want to put you on the spot for first, but
I mean, this is fairly easy for me to do, so I can go first if you guys need to go off of what
Yeah,
I
we'll
said.
play it off. Yeah.
so let's
That's
do this.
perfect.
We'll go Chico, Vo, myself, and then Greg.
Okay.
So I guess you could pick these in any order that you wish. So
Right on.
it is all straight up to you, my friend. Chico, this is your subject. You are up.
So, I'll go weight class first. I would like to compete next at 170 pounds welterweight.
Okay.
So, that'd be a little bit of a weight cut, but nothing too serious.
All right.
For my finishing move, guillotine. 100% guillotine choke. There's nice having knockouts, but making another trained killer tap out saying, I quit to you, that's like, I beat you.
That's a humiliation
then-
factor with it. I like that.
Nickname, let's get rid of the Bud one, for example, and trying to think of an actual funny nickname. Let's do Cheek Freaky. Tyler Cheek Freaky. M.
Okay.
There it
I
is.
like that.
Freaky.
I thought you were gonna say cheeky freaky for a sec.
Yeah, Cheek Freaky. That's the nickname. And
Okay.
then for the walkout song, this is something I've been debating on a lot. And honestly, I've been thinking about walking out to Everybody by Backstreet Boys just to talk to my opponent one last time as I make the entrance.
That incorporates a lot with it. I mean, Cheek Freaky coming out to Everybody and then all of a sudden taps you out to the guillotine. Like, that's a fucking good
That's
arsenal,
fun.
Cheeks.
That's fun. I
love
like that.
Yeah.
How do you
All
spell
right.
guillotine?
GUILL
L-A-I-A-T-I-N.
O
O
TINE.
I-N-E.
Mhm.
All right, we'll go with that.
Mm.
I was holding off
All right.
the last second.
All right. Vo, you are up, my sir.
All right. Let me... Let's go with... We'll go with middleweight. Because I assume that's right in the middle.
That's like
Like,
yeah.
right?
That's like 185, I think.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, middleweight. My nickname... It has to be the Goon.
I love that.
Because...
I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
Has to be the Goon because hockey, I'm known as one of the more physical guys on my team, so
Look
I'm
at
the
you.
Goon, yeah. It
All that time's
happens.
been
It
outside.
It does happen.
happens, yeah.
He's been told numerous
I
times.
might
he's a
have
goon.
broken my helmet the last game because I got mad and slammed it. on
I'm
the
not
ground.
surprised at that at all.
Yeah,
That's a lot of passion, though. We respect that here.
yeah. So we'll go with the Goon, and then finishing move. Let's go with. We'll just do a leg lock. I don't really know finishing moves, so
Okay.
we'll go with leg lock.
So, I mean, that's one. It's leg lock.
Yeah, leg lock
Yeah.
is a finishing move. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And then For my entrance song.
I think this is gonna generate the most thought out of you, Bo.
So this is one of my favorite songs. I picture entrances whenever I hear it. I picked it when you did your article for wrestling, and it's Shadow Boxing by Parkway Drive.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
And shadow boxing, MMA. I see what you did there.
Exactly.
I see what you did there. Alrighty. I'll let you get that down, and I'll move on to me. Okay. Well, I'm picturing myself a little bit, not say overweight, but I think I'm more in the category maybe of Cheeks. What would you consider about 180, 190 pounds? Is that
That's middleweight.
is that middleweight?
Yeah.
How tall are you, Austin?
5'6".
You need to go to the 145 mark.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said I'm a little bit above the average. A little bit above, but I'm that rough and rowdy fighter. I'm the one with
wait,
the
was
beer
mine
belly.
like accurate then?
Yeah.
Middleweight?
Yeah, yours was accurate. Yeah.
That's a good guess.
I'm the one with the beer belly in the rear. Let's go. Come on. So that would be my weight class. My finisher, to me, it has to be one that I've actually watched when I used to actually play the old UFC games. I did this move quite often, and it is the arm bar or the arm breaker. There's nothing more than just a middle of the road weight guy that's short, locking you into an arm, knowing that you can't lift him up, and you might be bigger, you might be stronger, but if I knock out that arm, that's one less appendage I got to worry about in the ring. So I'm going with the arm bar for me. My nickname. I could be average and go with something King related. I think I'm going to think a little bit more on it though. Cause this is something fun. This is something more.
What was your weight class again?
Middleweight.
Middleweight. Okay.
A little bit overweight middleweight, but
Overweight middleweight.
don't put
No,
that
just say overweight.
Overweight middleweight. Thank you.
The overweight division.
God damn it.
The thick boy.
THICC.
Work for my butt, but I don't know. Let's think here. You know what? Every time I hear this phrase, I just think that's kind of almost like a little bit of Hicktown, but I think I could pull it off.
Big country.
Yeah, oh yeah. When you step up to the baseball plate and you hear "Big Country," you just back up.
That's actually already a name. That's Roy Nelson, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you just know that you're stepping up and can of long cut wintergreens in the lip of that batter, and you're just like, oh fuck, I'm done for. No, my nickname, give me Slobber Knocker.
Jesus.
Good old Jim Ross.
Yeah.
And my entrance music. It's one that I've endured for years. Though this is one of your favorite groups. Cheeks and Greg, I don't know if I think you might know you know this group, but I don't know if you are into it as much as I'm saying this. But my entrance music, I had it for the wrestling article that I dropped. Give me Gasoline by I Prevail. That is the biggest intimidation factor I think of my mind when you're just hearing this, and it's just a song about just basically fucking killing someone to death before you get into the ring. So give me that one.
I like it.
Yeah.
That is a good song for entrance.
I do. I mean, really, you can't go wrong with anything from I Prevail. I mean, I was going to go with one from I Prevail, but now I'm going to take it out because this jag.
Oh, did I steal one from you again, Greg?
You're going to go Bow Down?
No, I was going to go Come and Get It.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that's actually on my list of actual songs I might walk out to.
That is a good one, too.
Yeah.
It's a good one. I love that he said, "Are you gonna bow down?" Just royalty. But go ahead, Greg. You are up.
That's why I thought you were going with that
Yeah.
one.
All right.
Yeah.
For class, I'm gonna go flyweight because that's right in my wheelhouse. I'm I'm like 133, so that would be flyweight. Might have to drop a little bit. I mean, if I want to gain weight, I could go featherweight, but I'll go flyweight just for now. My finishing move would be a flying knee.
Okay.
Because I've seen like some of the smaller guys like Demetrius Johnson or Anthony Pettis or Ben Henderson or like some of those guys like do some crazy shit when they want to on that. So that's where my mind's leaning towards with that. My nickname, and Austin, for the record, I had this in my head before you even said King reference, but I would want my nickname to be Kingpin. And the reason is two reasons. Number one, because it would be the tagline of I knock them down. And the second one is because if you've ever seen the movie Kingpin, where Woody Harrelson and Bill Murray's characters are bowling, and you see like Bill Murray's hair just like flopping all over the place, like while he's in the middle of trying to win it. That's how like my subconscious is thinking that my hair is gonna be while I'm trying to fight, while that's happening. So that's the mindset right there.
Fair.
Inside joke, yeah. And then for my song, I was thinking Come and Get It, but I'm not going to do that. I could also do, I was thinking Pittsburgh Sound by Wiz Khalifa, but I'm not, I don't know, that's a little too slow and stuff. So, I'm going to go Reincarnate by Motionless in White.
Okay.
Mm.
Ooh. See, I'm imagining, like, first of all, when you said Kingpin, I automatically think you should come out in, like, a pinstripe suit.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
automatically.
And the reason I picked Reincarnate is because literally the main chorus is crawling from hell, falling from grace. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I love that, boys. We'll put those on social, and the fans, you will vote to see who won this debate. I'm just waiting for Bo to say I won already because he didn't, because I'll fucking smack him in the ring in the parking lot.
The Parkway Drive one was a nice pull, actually,
It's
I
a
must
good
say.
song.
I
It's a good
agree, yeah.
So
I
what we're gonna
I think
do?
I won this one, Austin.
No, you didn't. So what we're gonna do is I might get another beer. I think I might. And we will take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, Chico and I will battle it out in another way as we discuss our top 10 rankings back to back. You won't want to miss it. Going to be a star-studded lineup and a star-studded card, to say the least. Stay tuned.
Let's dive right into sports, as I have strong opinions on that. Which college team could beat a professional team in the same sport right now?
Okay.
There is not a single answer that is better than the LSU Tigers defeating the Cincinnati Bengals.
Even if I know the pitch that's coming, every other part of me is still normal.
That's why it's frustrating for me, Greg.
It's like okay, if I know what something is coming, I know ahead of time. I still have to be able to do the action to get the result that I need.
Okay, so they won 3 games in 10 years with 3 rebuilds.
I don't lose at arguments. All
Especially
right.
about fast food. So yeah.
You will never walk alone. Guess what? Now you will. Coronavirus.
I barely touch my girlfriend's cat. The most I'd be willing to do is like just kind of put my finger on its forehead and just like.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us is Alex Kazor from Steelers Depot.
We are live with Ryan Smith, professional cornhole player in the ACL. Ryan,
what all franchises were you able to work with in the NHL?
With Phoenix, Carolina, and Detroit.
So here is Moorhead's ranking. Moorhead is my cousin. He is the rank king. Top 10 extra Power Rangers.
Okay. This is the top 10 emo songs of the 2000s.
There's only one correct answer for number 1. Why is F is for Family better than Futurama when Futurama is like Star Wars for potheads? Like
I know. So I think
We have one or two that are mad in the chat.
You're welcome for that.
Okay, we're gonna get banned.
Alrighty, gang. This is why we're here. This is why the RankKing's court exists, because I mean, I was a rank king before this show even began. Before we have hit our milestone, what is this, 59th episode? 59 episodes.
Yeah.
Crazy how we're still going, you know, with all the shit we've brought up on the internet. It's,
Yeah.
woof! It's crazy that we're still
We haven't
going,
been
man.
canceled yet.
Not yet. The run is young. The run is young, to say the least.
Run is young.
We've
and
come
Chip,
close, though,
voted not
some of those
win.
rankings.
Yeah, they were not pretty.
Stop it. Let's get in. I asked Chico to bring his top 10 to the table. I've done mine. I'm going to do my best to explain them because a lot of these I have faintly watched from the beginning and have trying to just reconcile what the actual process of everything was. These are the top 10 MMA fights of all time.
This is going to be so subjective, and I'm so excited.
Right? That's what it is. So what we'll do, Chico will give his 10, I'll give my 10, and we'll bounce back and forth from there. A lot of this, Cheeks, I want you to actually like look at my picks and be like, you know, just don't criticize it, but be like, hey, is this good?
Whoa. Come on.
Because this is an actual like, this is what we do, but like this is a guy that actually does this and wants to do this. So in my mind, I want to see like where he sees these fights accordingly. Like I like a professional resume with this wouldn't be a bad idea. So Cheeks.
I'll give you my honesty.
All right. Don't make me cry though. I'm a late bloomer with the tears. So
You're a late bloomer in a lot of aspects, bud.
Hey now, whoa. Hey, that's mighty tasteless of you. Mighty tasteless of you, fella. Cheeks, let's get into it. Your number 10, the top 10 MMA fights of all time.
So my number 10 actually was the first UFC event in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Main event,
Woo.
Czech Congo versus Pat Barry.
I remember watching this, yeah.
Less than one round, and Pat Barry knocked out Czech Congo 2 times, and for some reason could not get him out of there. And Czech Congo, wobbly on his feet, throws a right hand and knocks Pat Barry out cold. Czech Congo is so hurt, he literally falls on top of him. He doesn't jump on top of him to finish it, he falls. And it is the most ludicrous one-round fight you ever see in your life.
I remember this too because this is when Versus was still a thing.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because I remember when they had this on TV, and Czech Congo was coming in as like, not like he was kind of like a middling contender to say the least. But yeah, Barry like gave all he could against him, and Congo like I don't know how the hell he withstood it.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody get knocked out that many times and then come back and win. It's absurd.
Mm-hmm.
I think about this. I think of again. I hate comparing, MMA to WWE, but I think of the Hell in a Cell match where Mick Foley faces the Undertaker, and he's down and out so many fucking times, and he just keeps fucking coming back. We're like, chill, just relax. You're done. You're done.
Ironically, was also in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. There you go, Greg. There you go. That was also what I was getting at. Okay, my number 10. I know this is going to be really fucking low. I know it's going to be really low. I think I believe it is the only women's fight that I have on here. And I know that sounds bad, but I know that I like to incorporate multiple aspects with these. And that's why, of course, I did the top female fighters in the Instagram. So, oh, wow. This is, I know, because it just happened last year. And this was crazy.
I can see Chico.
I know. But here's
my this fight is number 10. Okay.
Okay. So he already knows what it is, obviously. So this is I'm again
Butchering.
my best with this.
Do you need me to say it?
Yeah, if you would go ahead for me, please.
Ioana Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Weili, right?
Yes, UFC 248. Happened last year. It was a one that I literally looked at and was like, holy shit.
This was an upset too, wasn't it? Like Zhang took the title from her too.
Zhang was the champ.
Oh, okay.
But Ioana was viewed as the uncrowned champ, and nobody thought Zhang was going to beat her. really.
Yeah, this fight alone sparked the internet into a massive, terrible place, to say the least, because we saw one of the most massive hematomas that I have probably ever fucking witnessed in my life, to the point where, like, I didn't know if this girl was going to wake up the next morning.
I didn't know
Like,
you witnessed a lot of hematomas, but okay.
Hey, you know what? You don't know what I do on my own time. That's all I'm saying.
Huh.
We just know what you do on Tuesday nights.
That's true.
That's true. You do know what I do on Tuesday nights, but I know it's really low for 10. I know that walking in, but there's a lot of classics that I have on this list. And yes, this match is viewed as a classic, to say the least, because there are a lot of other women's fights I could have put on here. For instance, like Rousey versus Liz, UFC 157, that could have been on here. What is it? Tate versus Zingongo, TUF 17. Like, there's a lot of fights that I could have had on here with this, but I thought for the shock factor alone, this one had to be on the list. Again, I know it's low in a lot of standards. I know Cheek's already like, you fucking idiot, what are you talking about? Like, kind of shit. But it is my number 10. It is subjective, and that's what we're doing. So my number 10 is in the books, which means, Chico, you are up for your number 9.
So I forgot to preference this. My first pick at number 10 is, there's a lot of fights I consider to be my favorite fights that are phenomenal. But I tried to take that aside and pick the actual 10 greatest fights of all time.
Trying to be objective. We respect it, yeah.
Yeah. These two fights, number 10 and number 9, are two of my favorites that aren't as well known as the other ones. So I wanted to make sure I put these in here because these fights are phenomenal. So number 9 for me is Cub Swanson versus Do Ho Choi. And it is just 3 rounds of 2 men beating the living shit out of each other. One guy will be rocked 1 minute, then it'll flip, then it flips, and it just goes back and forth. And it's, if you haven't seen it and you want to get into MMA, this is the fight you should see.
I like that. It's a very, like, you really don't know what the winner is going to be. It's a coin flip a lot of the times. You know, we say, you know, you swing a turn. That's kind of what it is. It kind of just went like back and forth, you know, as a, you know, again, hate bringing like, you know, WWE into a sense of like UFC with this, but is it the same prospect of like, you know, when, you know, the heel gets the upper hand over a face and vice versa, and the crowd reacts either way. It is the same concept here. And Cheeks, I very much appreciate that, man. I love that.
Real quick question though. I was just curious. Do both of you just have UFC fights on here?
So I almost put in a couple other organizations, but I figured you guys might not have an actual more hardcore following, so I just tried to keep it within the UFC realm.
I wouldn't have cared if you would put like a Pride or a Bellator fight on here or something, man. Like, but hey, I get it. It's cool.
I could throw in a couple honorable mentions at the end.
I like it.
We love honorable mentions, so that we do love here. My number 9, I think it speaks to us that the first conglomerate of these two was very unexpected, and I think it's what drew us all in to watch the second one. So give me McGregor versus Diaz 2, UFC 202 2016. Oh, this is I mean, Diaz was, like you said, it was an unmarked thing that, you know, Conor McGregor went down in the first one. And we were like, holy shit, like we gotta see 2. But as we saw, like, the pace almost seemed like very much more even in this one for a little bit. Like, Conor wasn't like all up in ante trying to do dumb shit. So we saw, but when round 3 started, you know, you saw like the breath started getting more and more. And it was just a wonderful scene because for a long time, Conor McGregor was the motherfucker of UFC. I mean, we reference, who the fuck is this guy? Like, it's just it's a thing where, like, you know, it's kind of a changing of the guard thing, but you don't realize it after one fight. You know, you got to see multiple things in order to be like, is Diaz the next big thing? And to me, this was almost like the stepping stone of that, as to why I had it at number 9.
I will gladly break that fight down. That's on my list as well. So after I say it, I'll explain why I put it on there, but that is a really good pick.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Tell me, though, Your number 8, Chico, is it as good as the Connor versus Nate fight? Or is it?
As a fight itself, they're pretty damn close. But in terms of significance, I put a lot of these in significance in ordering. So for me, my number 8, which is Clarion University's alumni, Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard 2.
Wait,
So
Frankie
this
Edgar went
fight
to
was
Clarion? I
crazy.
didn't know that.
Yes, he did. He's in the Clarion Hall of Fame, actually.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Actually, right now, I'm in his old house.
Okay. That's crazy.
I found out from my landlord, like, he used to rent this place while he's in Clarion.
Wow. That's pretty sweet.
So, yeah, but so Gray Maynard, what people don't realize about this was at this fight, Frankie was champ. He had one loss, and it was the Gray Maynard. And he got a title shot before Gray did, even though Gray was undefeated. So Gray came into here like, hey, I already beat this guy. And in that first round, he rocked Frankie Edgar for 4 minutes straight. Just Frankie literally does a backward somersault from getting hit so hard at one point. Survives, comes back to win round number 2 with the craziest takedown I've ever seen in my life. And it somehow goes all 5 rounds. And everybody at the time was arguing about who they thought won, and it ends in a draw.
Wow.
So after this crazy fight, it ends in a draw, and everybody in the MMA community was arguing for months about who should have won that fight. So that is why it is my number 8.
Love that shit. My number 8. This is an interesting one, and I'm gonna put it on here as maybe an underdog class of this fight of why it's popular to me. But this actually comes from, what is it? Yeah, 2021. So this was 12 years ago, if I'm doing math right. I'm not a proponent of math, but this would have been 2009. UFC 102. This is, again, helping me pronounce names here, but this is, I know at least one, and that is Couture versus Nogueira. UFC 102.
Oh, yeah. Minotauro Nogueira versus Randy Couture.
Yes, Nogueira, yeah. So this is interesting because Couture is 47 years old in this fight.
Wow.
Facing 34-year-old. I mean, Nogueira is 34. So that's still like...
What's like the average age for like UFC?
So heavyweights tend to have longer careers than the lighter weight classes. And they think it's because in the lighter weight classes, there's less knockouts. So they end up taking way more damage over the course of their career. But in a heavyweight fight, you get knocked out. And yeah, it's bad for your head, but it's one blow compared to 15 minutes worth of damage.
I wonder if it's also because, too, like with regards to the lower weight classes, because there's the weight cuts you have to make, that it like just so much more wear and tear on your body. With heavyweights, it's kind of like you're already kind of big, so odds are you don't really have to go through that much of a grueling weight cut.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely another really big factor in it.
Yep. So the fight lasted 3 rounds, and it almost like went, like we said, light and dark, back and forth for a while. But Nogueira pulled it out after multiple chokes, multiple hits. Couture finally went down, and it was a very like kind of like, we always say like it's like the elder like the league legends again versus like the up and comers kind of thing. And by no chance is this kind of like that, but it's 47 versus 34, and it lasted 3 rounds. Mm-hmm. So that alone is crazy, in my honest opinion. I half the times when I run around, I can't make it around 3 laps before I have to do an inhaler shot.
I mean, Randy Couture is also a fucking legend. Like, let's be clear.
Exactly. So exactly the reason why I have it at my number 8.
So that fight was actually pretty significant because Randy Couture at the time was like the living legend in UFC heavyweights, right? With everything he had done at that point. And when the UFC bought Pride and brought over most of the roster to the UFC, there was 2 heavyweights that were known as the big dogs, and that was Fedor and Big Nog. That's what everybody called Nogueira. Big Nog. And the fact that we got to see Big Nog versus Couture at the time was like, if the CFL was actually significant, we got to see their teams versus the NFL. Like it was a really big deal at the time to see that fight go down.
Love that shit, man. I love it. Please let me know, what is your number 7?
So my number 7 is actually Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor 2. Just like you, I got on my list. The reason why, like, Conor had this huge hype train around him. He just won the 145-pound belt, was going up to 155. RDA, the current champ at the time, pulled out. Nate Diaz steps in short notice. And to all the hardcore fans, we knew who Nate Diaz was. He had fought for the belt before, lost, won season 5 of The Ultimate Fighter. His big brother was pretty famous at the time, but nobody thought he was going to beat Conor, and he beats Conor. Now, the UFC put so much money into promotion to this second fight, promoting it, that the hype around it was just unreal. And a lot of times those fights don't live up to the expectation. But their second fight was a 5-round dogfight, man. And it blew what I was expecting going into it. And a lot of times those hype fights don't live up to it, and this one did. So that's why I have it as number 7.
Yeah, that is a shame on sometimes for like the big fights. You know, you put in money to it, you expect to, like, 5 or so rounds to go on, and it lasts like 2 rounds. You're like, shit. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
Well, here's the other thing too that is interesting too. That both Diaz brothers, Nate and Nick, they're both very outspoken guys, to say the least. Like, they're also very well known for their use of marijuana, obviously. So like, that was something that was also a big issue for them. That's why, like, I'm pretty sure Nate had a long sabbatical from fighting because of that, because I think he got suspended or popped for that at one point. And I also remember, and I think this was the second fight, but I'm pretty sure after Nate won the first fight, he held out a little bit because he didn't believe he was being paid fairly as well for this one too. So that also why I think this one has so much significance to go with it as well, because he was able to get what he believed he deserved for this.
Damn. I did not know that at all. So Greg, once again, coming as the encyclopedia of sports with that. I love that shit.
What can I say?
You do. Some of us, I still sometimes don't even know if I know how to read right. So I teach the youth. So
that's terrifying.
God bless.
It is, right?
God bless.
My number 7 comes to us from UFC 117 in the year 2010. This is Anderson Silva versus Chael Sonnen.
Oh, dude. I remember this fight when it first happened. I did not think Chael Sonnen deserved this fight at all, but he talked his way into it.
I mean, for the fact of the matter that he was able to last as long as he did, it was like, what? He lasted, what was it, 5? Yeah, 5 rounds.
Yeah, but the whole reason that he lasted so long is because Anderson Silva wasn't taking him seriously.
Which you get a lot of the times.
Yeah, like Anderson Silva should have won this fight early, but he just wasn't taking him seriously. And then the 5th round, when he realized, oh shit, I was going to lose my title on points, that's when he decided to actually do shit, and he won.
The big part of why I want to throw this in here at number 7, you realize there were almost 13,000 people in attendance for this event? 13,000, dude. Holy shit. Like, just watching people fight, it's incredible, like, to say the least. And, Silva, might not taking him seriously at the beginning and everything. And like the quote said that I read, he was almost like an injured lion. Finally puts him down. And it was just a wonderful thing to see, to say the least. But again, those reasons why mine is at 7. Cheeks, how do you feel about that fight?
That actually almost made my list. I'm a big fan of Chael P. Sonnen and Mr. Bad Guy himself, undefeated and undisputed. He, oh man, that fight was crazy. And that's one of the reasons why I love this sport so much. Like, I like watching football. I like watching basketball. I like watching hockey, but I don't love watching those sports. But name a football game where in the 4 quarters, there's 2 minutes left, and Anderson literally could not win on points at this point. So imagine a team being down 50 points with a minute 30 left. It's over. They can't physically win. But in MMA, you can. Every single second of that fight matters. You slip up for one moment, you're getting choked out or knocked out.
Right.
And that's the reason why I love this sport is you could be down every single minute and win that last second and win the whole thing.
It's like what we would wish the Steelers would do at times. Like if they would just play through like the 4 quarters that they were supposed to, instead of giving us like heart and hope and the 4th quarter at the end. Like, goddamn.
It's like false.
Yeah, especially when they destroy my hope and I have Minnesota's defense, so they just screwed me in fantasy also. So,
mark my words, Mike Zimmer will be gone by the end of the season. I don't care what anybody says. Alrighty. Cheeks, you're number 6.
My number 6, I think, doesn't get talked about enough, even between the hardcore fans. It seems to be forgotten for some reason, and that's Jose Aldo versus Chad Mendes 2. And again, that was another 5-round back-and-forth fight where Jose Aldo was the heavy favorite. And he ended up winning, but in their first fight, Jose Aldo knocked him out, I believe, at UFC 143 with a knee in either the first or second round. Like, he kneed Chad Mendes in the face and knocked him out cold. So going into this rematch, nobody expected much, and Chad Mendes brought it to him. And actually, after the first round, Jose Aldo landed a punch after the bell went off, and it knocked Chad Mendes on his ass, like dropped him, like blatantly after the round was over. And Chad Mendes still came back. So it had a great action, competitiveness, and a little bit of drama in it too. So that's why I have it as number 6.
Yeah, people forget the run that Jose Aldo went on too, because it was almost comparable to kind of the run that Anderson Silva went on. And I mean, they were almost going at the same time as well too. Like Aldo at one point was arguably the best pound for pound fighter in the world. And then Conor McGregor came and swooped and just knocked him in the first round.
He's like, who the fuck is this guy? Who the fuck?
If somebody wants to double check this off the top of my head, I believe he had 8 title defenses, which is absolutely ludicrous.
Right. I think it was something like that, yeah.
Damn. Alrighty. My number 6 comes to us again from the year 2009. TUF 9 final. This is Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida.
I loved Diego Sanchez when I was watching The Ultimate Fighter. Because I loved the nickname and he just looked like a badass.
I mean, you got 2 guys that are literally known for their offensive style. Like, there was no defense between these two. They went in and they went in fucking hard. So putting them together in this was absolutely insane. I believe it took a kick to the head of Guida to get them the fuck back into the game. Like, he was just like, because normally you get a kick to the head, you're like, ah, shit, you're seeing stars. But it was almost like a wake up factor. It was like, oh fuck, I'm in the fight. Like, it was like crazy shit. And it was one of the more evenly split matches, to the point where I believe what's his name, that Sanchez was the victor in this one.
He was, yeah.
But it was a very, very high stakes fight. It actually won UFC Fight of the Night award and the best fight of 2009. So obviously couldn't leave it off the list.
I would also say for years too, Guida was known as like the litmus test for for kind of like up and coming guys as well. I would argue as well, especially in that division. Like, he was the guy that like he would get placed with, and it would be like the way to determine like if you're how good you truly are.
Clay Guida actually just fought 2 weeks ago and won.
He's still fighting. Holy shit.
Still fighting, still doing the damn thing.
Damn.
That was I love old school Diego Sanchez before he went off the rails a little bit. But Austin, you'll know this. The wrestler who does the yes chant, he actually stole that from Diego Sanchez. Like, he
I was gonna say. Yes.
Yeah.
I gotta love it. Alrighty, Cheeks, we're halfway through. Number 5.
Number 5. The year's 2013, UFC 165. The up-and-coming superstar John Jones, undefeated except for one BS disqualification, ran through the division, defeated 5 former champions at this point in his title reign. And he's versing a man named Alexander Gustafsson, who nobody knows who the fuck he is. Just some random tall Swede that they're like, Jones is beating Rampage, Rashad Evans, Lyoto Machida, Shogun, Vitor Belfort, the legendary Chael P. Sonnen. Like, who's Alexander Gustafsson? And then Alexander Gustafsson, to this day, I say, won that fight. He brought it to John Jones and was whooping on John Jones until he landed the craziest spinning elbow on Gustafsson and changed the whole fight. Extremely back and forth. And just seeing a legend of John Jones is almost like the LeBron James of MMA get tested for the first time and pull through it. It was absolutely incredible to watch.
I think I remember that spinning thing, if I remember
The
correctly.
spinning elbow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the elbows were his trademark too. When
Right.
John Jones
But I
was
think
like
I remember
really good.
that specific one, if I remember correctly, because it was. You're right. It changed the whole fucking conglomerate of that match.
Yeah.
Holy hell! All right, my number 5, Cheeks. I believe you already brought it up, and I'm gonna say it. 2011 UFC 125, Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard 2.
Yep.
Oh man, I mean the picture says it enough. Like I thought this picture alone was fucking dope. I know that you might not be able to see it, Cheeks.
I think this picture is the takedown that he was referring to.
This is the
actually.
takedown that did.
The takedown with him over the shoulder?
Yeah.
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 I mean, from what I've read on it, from what I've seen, according to this fight is regarded as the best MMA lightweight fight in history. So, I mean, that's to say the least. I mean, Edgar, again, had a good combo of strikes, takedowns, and was actually able to retain his spot as the champion. But this was probably one of the more fun matches that I had watched in recent years. So I don't watch many, but I know for a fact that I watched this one. So, and again,
you got to give it up for the fellow alum. You know?
Oh yeah, obviously, he didn't win a gold medal with a broken freaking neck, but it was goddamn almost the same. So shout out to
It's similar.
Alrighty, Cheeks, number 4.
Number 4 is personally another one of my favorite fights, and that is Kelvin Gastelum versus Israel Adesanya. Izzy was supposed to fight for the title. No, it was Gastelum was supposed to fight Robert Whittaker for the title. Robert Whittaker pulled out. Israel stepped in short notice. Everybody thought if Calvin could get it to the ground, he'd win. Israel, being the 75-5 former kickboxer, thought keeps it standing, he'll win. And then in the first round, Kelvin Gastelum rocks Israel on the feet. And then in the 4th round, Israel almost submits Calvin on the ground. It was like the roles completely changed, and it was just back and forth the whole time. And then what sealed the deal was that 5th round, where Israel Adesanya literally said in the cage, "I'm willing to die here," and then went out and dropped Kelvin Gastelum 4 times in one round, which is all the credit to Kelvin Gastelum, because not many people are making it back up after that first one.
Yeah, it's almost unheard of, right? Like it's crazy.
Yeah. So Israel ends up winning the decision, becoming the interim champ, and went on to become the middleweight champ after that.
This is where the legend of Izzy was essentially kind of born when you think about it.
Yeah.
All right. You guys know that I am a huge proponent of horror films and all the crazy blood and gore that goes into this shit. I know. Because this is regarded as almost, I believe, as one of the bloodiest MMA matches of all time. This is from UFC Fight Night 2013. This is Mark Hunt versus Antonio Silva 1. There was more blood in the ring than fucking people. Like this was a brutal fucking match.
So, fun fact about this fight, there was a group of us, 4 of us, all spent a night at Buddy's house, and they all liked MMA, but they weren't really as into it as I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, no, it should be a good, quick knockout. So let's just throw it on, see the knockout, and go on. I was like, there's no way this is going 5 rounds. It's Mark Hunt and Bigfoot. And then they went to war for 5 rounds straight. And then we're all sitting there watching with our jaws dropped. Just these 2 big-ass boys swinging leather nonstop, bleeding probably a gallon of blood between the 2 of them. And, yeah, I just remember going into it saying, there's no way this makes it out of the first.
It was for just how brutal this fucking match was. I mean, you say, like, these 2 aren't destined for long bout matches, but not only did they have a long match, but, like, they dropped a significant amount of blood in that fucking ring. And, you know, it's not one for those with weak stomachs, but if you're a glorified blood and horror fanatic like I am, this was a genuine treat.
You just watch it. You watch this one every night before bed.
I'm not that into it, but I appreciate the shout, bro. You know me by now. But yeah, this is one of the most brutal matches, and obviously with brutality comes passion, and you can't not have it on the list, and that is why it is my number 4. Okay.
Very solid.
Top 3. These
Oh,
should be in like
wait.
the heartstrings and the heart frame of you and myself, Chico. These are our top 3 fights. So go ahead. Number 3, buddy.
There's no way you're being my top 3. My top 3, starting with number 3, is Mauricio Shogun Hua versus Dan Henderson 1. And I believe this was UFC 138 off the top of my head. I'm not sure on that. But
I think
what
you're
people
correct.
don't realize is before a couple events before this, the only 5-round fights were title fights. And they decided to make all main events 5 rounds, whether they're title fights or not. And this was the second event where it was headlined by a non-title fight, but the first event ended in the second round. So we didn't get to see 5 rounds in a non-title fight. This fight, the first 3 rounds, is Dan Henderson absolutely just destroying Shogun, like to the point where you're like, how is Shogun still standing? And then at the end of the third, the last minute, Shogun starts switching it up a little bit. And then the final 2 rounds, Shogun just flips the script and just starts beating the snot out of Dan Henderson. And if this fight wasn't 5 rounds, we never would have saw Shogun turn it around, because it would have ended with Dan Henderson just absolutely obliterating Shogun. But it was, even though I was saying they beat the snot out of each other, it was very competitive and back and forth, but there was clearly winners of each round. And this is the fight that everybody will say, if you want to get an MMA, show them this fight, because their white trunks were red at the end of those fights.
Yeah. It is virtually insane, though, how much damage someone can take in a match and still have that adrenaline to fight back. Like, yeah, if I go like 2 rounds, I'm like, that's fine. I'm over here. That's fine. I'll walk away. Like I know my limits. I mean, I don't do it, so I know that it's not my style. But I can't imagine someone having the wherewithal to do this. And you're right. That's the whole point of what makes MMA amazing, is that no matter how much damage someone likely is to take, no matter how much a match is going in that first part of it, there's always a chance. There's always a chance for a comeback. And that's why it is almost one of the most electric sports to watch, Chico. I appreciate it. That's why it's your number 3. Mine is going to come to us a little bit earlier. This fight took place 14 years ago. 2007. UFC 79. Okay? Liddell versus Silva.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is and this is around the time too. Like, this is around the time all the Pride guys started coming over too, right? Because Vanderlei Silva was in Pride for the longest time when this happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and Dana White said years later when they switched to 5-round main events that he wishes they started doing it sooner, because that main event was only 3 rounds.
Right.
And we got a 3-round slugfest of Chuck Liddell versus Vanderlei Silva, but neither one of them were knocked out or hurt. It could have went all 5, and we could have got a 5-round war had they started doing that sooner.
Is every
that,
match 5 rounds, or is it like
just main event?
Oh, okay.
And main event and title fight.
Okay.
Yep, that's it. Every other fight's 3 rounds.
Gotcha.
But back in this time, it was only title fights were 5 rounds. So this was a non-title fight main event, so it was 3. So we missed out on possibly 2 phenomenal rounds between those 2.
This is also around the time too where it started, where we probably got the most stacked light heavyweight division we will ever see.
Yeah.
Like ever, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it is a, like you said, they could have went all night and I would have been fine with it, because it didn't look like either one of them was willing to quit. So, I mean, they said again that Liddell had one of the most astonishing finishes with this one that really brought out like that fucking persona of just how deadly this guy can be. So, yep, that's why it's my number 3.
It is a very, very excellent choice, and one I almost put on my list.
Almost is the key word.
Almost.
Number
11.
Yeah, that's
number 11.
That's how it works around here.
Running joke, Chico, is anytime someone says, "Oh, that should have been on there," I'm like, "Oh, it's number 11. Don't worry about it. It's number 11. You didn't miss it. It just nearly made it." You got 2 fights left, bud.
Are you ready for me to show you how to actually make a ranking list? This is how you actually make a ranking list. You might be the king of this world, man. My number 2 is Joanna Jędrzejczyk versus Zhang Wei Li. It's proper placement. The greatest women's fight.
Austin, where was that one on yours?
This is at number 10.
That was number
10.
10.
Damn.
Greatest women's fight of all time. 5-round back and forth. Get ground game, striking. It's technical but brawling at the same time, and it's just literal, just what we call beautiful violence. Like, it's just back and forth, and you don't know when the judges are reading their card who wins. Like you're sitting there going, I could not have scored that fight. And not only is it the best women's fight of all time, but arguably it's the best MMA fight of all time. I just think there's one more that has a bit more significance to it.
I don't hate it. I knew I was gonna get shit for putting it that low, and
Yeah.
I've swallowed my pride from the very beginning on that. That I knew that was coming, so it doesn't hurt me that much.
I feel like that happens every time we have a guest. There's always one pick that is.
There's always one
different.
like, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Why did you? But hey, you win some, you lose some. I win more than lose, so I'm happy with that. So
it's even. It's even.
Okay, yeah. So I do appreciate of why you love that fight so much, Chico, and maybe it should have been higher on my list. I will say that. So my number 2, UFC 189, 2015. Yep, he already knows what it is. This is Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald 2.
See, you want to talk about a blood fest?
Yeah.
This one was gnarly.
Yeah. The photos and everything that I knew as soon as I was like researching this again, that as soon as I saw the photo, I was like, oh shit, this was bloody as fuck. Like, this was brutal. What do you think about this fight, Cheeks?
So, ironically, I thought I put it on my list, and now I'm looking, I didn't. Right before I joined the call, I literally was watching it so I can make a specific point about it. But it's not on my list. So that was a very excellent choice. What people don't realize is when Robbie Lawler broke Rory McDonald's nose, for those who don't experience that level of nose break, like in my last kickboxing fight, my nose got broke. Busted very badly. If it breaks to a certain point, you're inhaling blood through your neck into your lungs. Like, as you're breathing, it goes into your lungs. And as it's evaporating in your lungs, like, it's not a serious thing unless it's like gallons of it, but it actually makes it harder to breathe. So not only is Rory McDonald in this just firefight, but he's having trouble breathing the whole time from the blood going into his lungs. And that's why when Robbie in that 5th round landed that right hand right on his nose, his body couldn't take it. It just gave out on him. Just
the brutality of it, man. You know, I say it again. Maybe I love UFC for the wrong reasons. You know, for the blood and the gore and the violence of it. But hey,
At the same time, it's kind of on brand for you.
I would say so. But yeah, I couldn't leave it. Couldn't leave it off this list. It's such a fucking miraculous fight.
And to piggyback on your blood and gore, I appreciate it not just for the aspect of blood and gore, but just to see what people with the mental strength of just pushing through things. Like there's a lot of people, you heard that, like that back chair quarterback or whatever it's called, will sit there and go, I could do that. But we all know as soon as they get hit one time, they're going to just fold up like a lawn chair.
Yeah.
To just see these top level guys go through these wars and keep going, it blows my mind every single time.
I mean, I know for a fact, if I get hit once, like I said, I'm waving the white flag. I'm going down. I know for a fact if I can't see, fuck no, I'm not fighting anymore. I'm done. I'll go down like, hey,
here's the crown. Here's the crown.
You won. Here's my crown. Here's my lunch money. Please don't hurt me anymore. Like, I get it. Like, I firmly, but like, yeah, you're right, Cheeks. Like the amount of like mental discipline that these guys have to fight through, these, you know, individuals that fight through all the, you know, the blood, the guts, the sweat and the tears. It's miraculous, man. And it, again, is why MMA is so appreciated today. It should be appreciated more, in my honest opinion, but it is, because I have a cousin that talks about it nonstop, and I feel like I'm speaking like he's speaking like Spanish to me or whatever, because I try to get into it as much as I can, and I need to watch more of it. I really do. So
yeah, I'm the guy. I literally have a notebook with all my favorite fights in it written down. So anytime somebody asks me for suggestions, I just take pictures of it and send it to them.
Now that's smart. I like that.
Smart. Always keep them receipts.
It's like you had a whole year to prepare for this episode.
Yeah, I've been making that list for years.
Alrighty. Here we are. The number one fight of MMA of all time. What do you have in store for us, Cheeks?
I don't know if we have the same number one, but you definitely should. And that is Forrest Griffin versus Stephan Bonner 1.
This is the fight that put MMA in the mainstream, 100%.
It saved the UFC. That's everybody knows that's the fight that made it famous. But what people don't realize is the UFC was $50 million in debt. And the last-ditch Hail Mary, they're like, let's do a reality TV show. That's what's booming right now. They went to all these companies, and nobody would pay for it. So the UFC went to Spike and said, will you do this? They said, no, we won't give you money to film this. And they said, what if we pay to film the show? Will you air it? And they said, yes. During that Forrest Griffin Stephan Bonner fight, it's such a crazy war on just live TV that they said everybody was calling their friends and saying, yo, turn on Spike TV. These guys are beating the shit out of each other. And they said they had 9 million people watch that fight.
Wow.
Live. And that is what saved the UFC, because they were going to sell it. If the Ultimate Fighter didn't work, they were going to sell the UFC. And Vince McMahon wanted to actually buy it to shut it down.
Of course he fucking did.
So
power-hungry tyrant. Of course he
without this fight, there would be no Conor McGregor, no Ronda Rousey, no Brock Lesnar in the octagon, no GSP, no Anderson Silva, none of them. It'd just be gone without that fight.
Yeah, and I remember this fight too, and I remember Griffin won the fight, and Bonner got a contract because of how crazy this fight was. And I'm also pretty sure that both of them are in the UFC Hall of Fame too because of this fight.
Yes, their fights in the Hall of Fame, and then I think Forrest Griffin's in separately as well.
Okay.
I could be wrong as that, but Forrest Griffin is in for just him, and then their fight is in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
They have a whole fight wing now.
I will make this very quick because mine is also Griffin and Bonner.
Smart man.
And
Smart man.
You're right. I mean, without this, Cheeks, this is essentially UFC would not exist. I mean, it even says like both men would receive 6-figure fucking contracts because of this fight. Like, you wouldn't have the names that were listed. I could go on and on, but literally everything that you just said is what I had prepared to talk about for this fight. And honestly, without it, again, UFC would have closed its doors. The MMA community wouldn't have been as big as it is today. And you wouldn't have people like you, Chico, striving to be the best in every aspect of Ultimate Fighter competition.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, that's hands down in terms of importance, the greatest fight of all times. And it's also just as fun to watch as any other of these fights on the list.
That's the beauty of it, man, is that, you know, we rank these, we do rankings and everything, but like all of them are enjoyable to watch. You know, if they're not, why the fuck are they in the top 10? No, that's the whole point of this.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was a very, I would call it a very intellectual side of the UFC brought to us by one Tyler Chico. I will say this has been a very, very fun episode, boys, to say the least. We love to thank Union Fitness. We love to thank Coors PGH again for your sponsorships. We love you guys and hope that we can keep bringing the content that you guys want. Chico, this is your platform now, right now. Anything you got going on right now, anything that you're doing, UFC, jiu-jitsu, anything you're going on, lay it on us right now.
I have nothing in the books right now. I'm coming off knee surgery from this past summer, so I'm now fully able to train. So right now I'm focusing on bringing my weight down. But if you want to support the team, I'm part of the Mat Factory Wrestling Club in the Lower Borough area in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Give them a follow. We got guys in Bellator right now. We got former UFC fighters. We got some of the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world. Keep your eyes out for me. I'll be fighting sometime in March or April, hopefully. That's knocking on wood.
We will bring the March or April. We will mark that down in our calendars. We will try and see if we can get a huge proportion of the Thoughts from the Bench crew there to support you. You know, I'm gonna be my best cheerleading person that I can be for you, Cheeks.
Crown and all too.
Yeah, you
crown
have to
and
wear
all.
the
I
crown.
might not wear the skirt,
Yep.
but I will support you, my friend.
You can wear clothes, but you got to wear the bathrobe. If you're coming, you got to wear the bathrobe.
Wear the bathrobe over it. Just come in and be like, hey, now it's my turn.
Oh, God.
But Sheiks, thank you once again. You've been one of the again, just a wonderful, wonderful guest to have. And I know this has been a long time coming for you to be on here. And I'm very thankful that I was finally able to get you on here, man.
Yeah, we were lucky to have you after a year.
Yeah, thank you very much. It really was my pleasure to be here. I have all this useless information. It's been awesome to actually be able to talk about it.
We are the proponents of useless information here. Don't worry about
We
it.
do it every Tuesday. So, ladies and gentlemen, the viewing audience, thank you for viewing tonight's episode of the RankKing's Court. Tune in next week for another star-studded episode. May guess, maybe not. I don't know yet. I haven't thought of it. That's the beauty of thinking with the crown.
Last
Comes to us
minute.
as we please.
Figure it out Monday night.
Fuck you. It takes time, god damn it.
It does.
And
I'll give you that.
Until then, again, thank you, Chico. And to all of the viewing audience, Greg, hold up that mallet. Court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.